Joe, where did you want your?
This, it's on this. It is
I
basically.
mean, under
we
new
could-
business.
Yeah, we could do a new business and we can give it to the next group that comes in.
All right.
But I just want to get it on the record.
And what do
for-
we want to call that?
I got it already.
Marvin Ridge?
I got it already in the minute.
Oh, yeah.
Discussion of resolution support for Marvin Ridge Athletic Boosters. I can even read that for you when the meeting starts.
Yeah, and I'll just say we'll add an item C. Ridge. Boosters. Well, I know that, Steve is not gonna be here because they said they had a meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I know Steve isn't gonna be here, so I think this might be. No, Andy and, well, I don't know if Andy's coming.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. Hey, Joe. Good, man. How are you?
Doing all right?
Yep.
Make sure that's- All right, well, Austin, are you ready? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and call this
okay.
meeting of the Western Union Municipal Alliance to order here on Thursday, November the 20th in Marvin. We do have a quorum. I did receive a letter from Steve over in Stalling saying that they are having some meetings today and that he would not be able to attend. So I know Steve is not going to be able to be here, but we do have a quorum. As far as adopting the agenda, I know that we've got a one addition that I'm aware of, and that would be an item C under new business. And Austin, could you
Got you. You're on speaker.
please read the title for that so we'll know what we're discussing?
Discussion of resolution of support for the Marvin Ridge Athletic Booster Club's funding proposal.
Okay, so that would be the only addition. Have you got one, Amanda?
We need to make sure we put those May meeting minutes on here.
The which one?
The May meeting minutes.
Yeah, now I did ask Karen to go ahead and get those. Did she, have they not been? I can get with Austin and double check after, but I did discuss that with Karen, and I know she was working on that.
During the meeting, the minutes from the May meeting you all had with,
Yes.
okay. I haven't heard anything about that. The only ones we got today are the October minutes.
Okay.
Those are the only ones that are ready.
Well, that'll be a holdover for next go-round.
So we'll just put that on our old, make sure we get that done.
Okay. Okay, but if there's no other additions, could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you. Next, we do have, as Austin mentioned, our October meeting minutes. I just need a motion to approve those as presented. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. All right, and now public comments. Does anybody here have anything they'd like to mention to the group?
Well, thank you all for serving. I think this is an important group.
All right. Well, thank you there.
I was talking to her earlier. She's from Weddington and has been always wanting to come to one of the meetings and
Okay.
hasn't been able to make it. So
Okay.
if there's a little time, we can open up to ask
right.
any specific questions that they want to know, so.
All right, fair enough. All right, so moving right along for item 5, delegate municipality reports. Amanda, how's everybody in Wesley Chapel?
We are all good and waiting on the results of our audit fund, our audit, and we do have an event in December. Have you heard anything from Kendra?
No, okay, I was gonna say you were.
We are having an event in December at Village Hall on December 20th. I'm a little worried we waited too late in the year because we are going to be working with Sunny Day Markets and
Okay.
that was their availability. But I'm worried it's going to be too close to the holidays and we'll miss a lot of attendance, but we'll see.
Okay.
We're just keeping on, keeping on.
All right. Rick?
The only thing I can think of things going on is we probably are ground zero of the Duke Power, power line upgrade that's been going on for the past at least 12 months and ending at your place soon. But Highway 75 was ground zero, and so of course all of our Christmas light boxes and receptacles are on the old poles and have to be replaced. So we finally finished, and they authorized us to get a contractor to replace those. We're having a special meeting tonight at 7:30 to approve the $5,600 proposal to replace those. But we can do it right away, and we'll actually still have our snowflakes up on 75. So that was a hit or miss. Weren't sure we were going to be able to make that happen, but we'll get our snowflakes on Highway 75, I guess.
Okay.
So that's about the only event that's taking place. We don't have a Christmas event scheduled. We have one new council member, and we sworn in next month. And we'll be going through what some of you all are going through with that. So otherwise, Mineral Springs isn't doing much different.
Chugging along. All right, Waxhaw, Susanna, how's everybody down the road?
Well, come to Waxhaw, we have a lot of events. So we have the tree lighting Saturday, the 22nd, from 3 to 6. 6 o'clock is the actual lighting. Then we have on the 13th, we have Wreaths Across America. And then at the South Side Cemetery. Then we have on Sunday the Christmas parade. That's the 14th. And so we'll be very, very busy in Waxhaw. What else? That's really it. We're going to be seating 3 new board members. Our next meeting is December 9th.
December the 9th.
December 9th.
Well, Weddington is fairly quiet for this time of year. Quiet now that the election season is over. We do have our tree lighting coming up tomorrow on the 21st, starting at 5:30. And other than that, I did make mention during the last meeting about our discussion on the lobbyist. And I will take it as a good sign that nobody either wrote me or called me after the meeting and said, no, we don't need to be spending money on that. So I'm hoping that with a little more information, again, we'll be discussing that here in just a little bit, that we'll have some, the group will have something good to propose here coming up after the first of the year. Joe?
Nothing's going on here. We're just, no, all is good here. We also have a tree lighting. First off, next week, we usually do coffee with council twice a month. Choose one's in the morning and one set for the evenings. We're doing coffee with kids. I think we should change the name, not coffee with kids. I don't need
It's Council with Kids.
Council with kids,
There you go.
so that was probably attended by about 4 or 5 kids. We're hoping to get more this time, so reach out to, want to know what the kids are thinking. That's next week, early next week. I think it's Tuesday, right, Austin? Yeah.
Fully will be here.
Then we have tree lighting December 6th. I'll be attending that. And then we got a little bit of development going on right here. It's part of the grant that we were given for park space right here. That's, if you see the equipment out there. We're also doing a giving tree, and interestingly enough, Union County was late again. I don't know if you guys have done this before, but they provide you with a bunch of names of families that need help. And we've done it for a number of years now, and they were late in getting us the names, so I think Jill took it upon herself to put out a notice, and it got filled up. She had a lot of contacts from Waxhaw, so the thing, I didn't even get a chance to grab a card for a family, but we got all that, and then we bring them here like 2-3 weeks before Christmas, and we load them up on my trailer, and I'll take them down to whatever place they have located and scheduled for that. But that's always been very successful, the Giving Tree.
40 kids this year were sponsored.
40? What was it last year? Do you remember? I think it was more than
We
that,
had,
wasn't it?
I think, 50 last year, but they only gave us 40 names this year. They did not have as many applicants as they normally do.
Well, that's hopefully a good
That's
sign.
a good sign.
Maybe it's a good
Yeah.
sign.
And obviously, the elections, there's a whole new board coming in. So 3 new candidates. We have Joe Barbera, the new mayor, Joe, and Tomek, the council-elect. And we'll be swearing in, as it stands right now, December 9th. So that, and I get my life back.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to add, Waxhaw started a youth council. You mentioned kids. So we put out a call. So we had 2 interns this past summer that worked with the clerk, and they came up with the end of the internship project. and they wanted to start a youth council to get kids involved in local government and learn more about local government. Since most adults don't know about local government, we figured maybe we could tackle that. So I'm the liaison for that. So we had 21 students from
Wow.
high school apply,
Wow.
and we're
That's
starting with
impressive.
15. These kids were impressive. I mean, the student that was the intern, started his own 501c3 during COVID for community service. And I thought that was rare, but there were 4 others that we interviewed that started their own 501c3s. I'm thinking, well, I went home and I told my kids they were slackers. They better start a 501c3 or do something. So that's what we're doing. Our first meeting is December 2nd, and,
Well, you need to invite them to some of these meetings.
well, I think so, yes.
All right. Well, we really don't have any old business, but we do have 3 important new business items. And so let's start diving in. First item, item A, is discussion of municipal lobbyists for WUMA. And for the benefit of the audience, for the benefit of Joe, I know you weren't here last meeting when we got together, but sort of the impetus for this whole discussion started, I guess, a couple of meetings ago when Susanna, kind of offhandedly, we were discussing stuff that was going on in Raleigh, and had anybody heard anything? And Susanna kind of casually tossed it out, well, our lobbyist up there is telling us that so-and-so. And that sort of piqued my interest. And, you know, in a nutshell, I know you've had this lobbyist for how long now?
I got on the board a couple years ago. She had been there about a year or
About a
two.
year.
And I will say she's invaluable. Like what she's done for us as far as informing us of things that were coming that are in the public domain, but you'd have to search for it, like 765. And all of those bills that are now being truncated, let's say, piecemealed and put into other bills. She's in Raleigh 3 days a week with our representatives, and she's in and out of offices all the time. And so she gives us updates, and she's also helped us with Duke, because we have experienced a lot of outages because of the upgrades. And so I think from the spring to mid-July, I think we had over 20 downtown, and Food Line, I think, threw out their food 2 times, the entire stock in the freezer, because they don't have a generator that can power that much. So although staff was trying to get in touch with the people in charge there, they were getting nowhere until she got in touch with somebody in energy in Raleigh and got us in with a meeting with the head of Duke, and suddenly the outages stopped. So she's pretty invaluable.
Well, to your point that you just mentioned, over the last 2, maybe even 3 years, if you have been watching, and I know we've discussed it, several bills that have been coming through the legislature pipeline that are targeted at specifically either limiting or eliminating or heavily modifying local municipalities' zoning authorities. And zoning is something that we all are concerned about. I mean, just a couple of examples. I think about a year or so ago, they floated that workhouse, worker housing bill, where if a developer
Workforce
came in,
housing.
workforce housing, that they said if they came into your town and they wanted to build something that was higher density, that was okay as long as they set aside X number of percentage of those dwellings for, workforce like teachers, firefighters, police officers, et cetera. They tried that. We're all familiar with what's been going on in the past year with, the Senate bill, H. Bill 765.
205.
And then 205 about, and that was the ultimate wish list of changing everything. The most concerning thing there for me personally, when I was looking at it, was the fact that they would make a standard minimum density statewide of 5 units per acre. That would be the baseline. And so if you had something less strict than that, too bad for you, the state legislature says the minimum's 5. And all this, I'm saying in that, I know at least in my case, I'm reading about this stuff in emails from the Council of Government, the School of Government. In other words, the legislation has already been signed off on, sponsored, it's in print, and it's sitting on somebody's desk. It's sitting on some committee chair's desk. In other words, it's beyond the point of being able, at that stage, to raise a hand or say, hey, why are you putting this in there? We need this, we don't like this language. And the fact that, I know in last year, Susanna, you know, your lobbyist was telling you some stuff that was going on with those specific bills.
Yes.
You know, this is the kind of information, in my opinion, that we, as the municipalities here in the western part of the county, who are feeling this kind of pressure right now, that we need to be able to stay ahead of that. Now, right now, the only one of us that's got a lobbyist up there is Waxhaw, and we certainly appreciate the work that you're doing, but I did do a little research in that I got on it's the Secretary of State's webpage. You can start digging in there to see who has lobbyists in Raleigh that are working. And the North Carolina Home Builders Association, guess how many they got working every day?
A lot.
5.
Wow.
Now, Rebic, which is another organization that I think we're all familiar with, when I got to digging with them, they said that they did have, the listing said they did have lobbyists up there, but they used a third party, so they didn't have a list of how many they had.
Interesting.
And I guess my point here being, the folks that want these rules changed, they've got people up there working. And they've got people up there that are knocking on doors and talking to the representatives and advocating for their position. And I do think that it is worth our organization's, I think, time to consider, and obviously this would have to go through each municipality, but I do believe it has merit that we at least consider the option of we as a group getting some lobbyist representation in Raleigh, because that's where the real threat is. And that's the stuff that's gonna affect all of us. And it won't matter, you know, what we've got on the books now. If the state legislature changes, it's changed. And so, as I mentioned, and I don't know if y'all mentioned it at your previous meeting since we last met, but you know, I made I don't want to call it a pitch, but I made the pitch at our last council meeting, and it seemed to be well received. And my point, you know, is that the other side is working hard. We need to be working hard too. And that if this turns out to be something where, you know, when the new council members are seated and the new faces here on the group get together next year, I would hope that if you can work it out with the lobbyist lady, to come to one of these meetings, or either arrange a meeting at a different time. We've done that as well as a group. You know, had to call a different meeting at a different time to talk to the municipalities about this and what benefits this could provide. And I know one of the things we discussed last meeting was that if we could all go in together, you know, this would give each of us, each municipality, a direct person that we could call to say, hey, we've got a question on this. Who do we need to talk to? Or can you go talk to, pick a name from our county delegation and tell them that we need to talk about such and such. In other words, we'll get a pipeline there. And then we can also get each of the municipalities, I would think, would get like a monthly summary of how goes it. You know, this is the hot topics, this is what I'm hearing, that we could each then take back, not only discuss it here in this group, but take it back to our individual councils and boards to keep them aware. and then by in turn, keep the public aware. So I've kind of chatted on about this long enough. I'd like to start around the table and see what y'all's, in other words, have you talked to anybody in your towns since our last meeting, and what your thoughts are on that?
I mentioned it at our last meeting, and they were open to listening.
Okay.
I haven't said anything to the board. I was discussing it with staff, and again, we think it's a good idea. We weren't sure what role would be played, and I'm just gonna interrupt, and I just looked this up. Obviously, we're always at risk.
Yep.
12 months out of the year.
Sure.
But we're really at risk when they're in session. And the short session begins April 21st. That's what I was just looking up.
Yeah.
So maybe you knew that already because you have a lobbyist who's done that. And by then, maybe we hopefully can have something, that's kind of like a soft deadline, I think, for us to have made a decision.
Right.
Even though, yeah, like mischief takes place in between when they're out of session, but they can't take
They can't
action.
pass
So,
anything, right.
but, you know, so that's something that, once we talk to, if we can talk to somebody
Deborah.
in January or February.
Yeah, so
then
when
we
I,
have time to maybe do something at each of our municipalities.
yeah, so when I reached out, she had said, because they're really not in session, they're there, but they're not there. I was supposed to visit Raleigh with her and maybe just be a little bit of a squeaky wheel and say, hey, you know, what's going on? But she suggested that I not do it now just because they're just not showing up because
Right.
there's no budget. They haven't been able to do much. So she said maybe perhaps after the holidays, she would come to either one of these meetings or another time and kind of explain what she does. But she's also very good because she knows what they're looking for up there. So as far as grants, what is tugging at everyone's heart with this, that, or the other. So if we are applying for a grant, she'll say, hey, well, this year they're focusing on Parks and Rec, and this year they're focusing on police vests, or this is, you know, what they're interested in, so we can target our grants. You know, we have a list of things always that the town needs, so, okay, go through that list and see what there's money for, A, so you're not wasting your time filling out a grant, and B, who to, you know, go give your pitch to and say, hey, Waxhaw wants this money, or Weddington needs money for this. And she's just knowledgeable because she served in Raleigh for many years. So she knows a lot of people, and and she's there, and she's quick. She's in, she's out, she's great.
How does their funding, where do they get their funding from?
The lobbyist?
Yes.
Oh, we pay her.
Okay, and what are we looking, what is Waxhaw, is it?
It's 48,000. She's a contracted employee, so no benefits or anything like that, so it's a flat fee. I forget
So
exactly,
would
it's in the
she,
40s.
are you guys thinking on the line of, if it's $48,000, she's going to bat for all of us, or?
I don't know. I
That's
don't know.
what we would need to talk to her about.
Because we're asking her to do more than just that, so,
In the
you know.
12 years I've been here, we've been our own lobbyists. We've actually had field trips and took council members and went and sat before legislators and said, you know, specifically when it was on an issue of lawsuits regarding election issues that came up and we were being sued. Fortunately for me, I was covered because I was named as the mayor in the lawsuit, but the two individuals who were just residents were being sued in federal court, and they spent both probably $30,000 each personally, just defending a lawsuit just to get it thrown out. And we went saying, this can't happen anymore because these people, they went through the process, and you know, I guess anybody can sue anybody. You know, but we were our own lobbyists at that point, but we've made those journeys. We sent staff in the past too, but that's what I'd be curious to see. I think Marvin would welcome that with WUMA if it's a shared cost and
I'm
they're
sure it
doing the
would be.
same
I mean,
thing.
yeah, for us, I
Adding
don't know.
something on top of your contract for
Yeah,
some additional.
it would
because
have to
If
be.
they wanted to do
Yeah.
something specifically
I'm
for,
sure-
I don't know even how they would do it, because it
As
was.
Mr. Datsun said, she's got a price list for that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I don't know.
He's been around a while.
And I don't know if she's ever done it before for something like this. But I think she'd just be a wealth of information just to speak to and see, where it goes and what she would be willing to do.
Well, I know in the brief conversation I had with our town attorney discussing this about a shared cost, she said absolutely that could be worked out, I mean, between the municipalities. Again, the thing I go back to is, and I understand what you're saying, Joe, if something comes up, yeah, you can make a field trip, you can go up and whatever, but there's nothing like having somebody there with their ear to the ground, that's walking down the halls, that can pass, to your point, when you know folks, and I pass you in the hall and say, Joe, I just heard Susanna talking about she wants to put a such and so condition on yada, yada, yada. That's when we need to know that kind of stuff, and not when it's,
And
the ink is dried on the legislation.
And because we knew, we were able to, we made a list of every county in North Carolina and every council member, and we mass emailed everybody to let them know what was going on, and then we made a call to action saying, hey, you better start calling your representatives, and many of them didn't know. They didn't know what was going on, and they were not happy that it was going on, and so we were able to stop the bill together as a state and counties coming together. So there is, we have to work together. United we stand, divided we fall. It's true, even on our local levels, and I think if we make enough noise, people will start listening. But, like the parking lot, I don't know if you guys had heard about that there's a bill that was being sponsored to do away with any parking requirements. And I only found out because I was a fellow on at the Hunt Institute, which is an education, I was a liaison as an elected official talking about education in North Carolina, and I met the sponsor of the bill, and I said, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he's like, well, because of runoff and this and that, and I said, yeah, but where are people gonna park? Where are they parked? The biggest thing in Waxhaw is traffic and parking. So now you're taking away parking requirements. They already come to us wanting to reduce the parking minimum. So if we have a 2 spot minimum, they always come back with 1.2, 1.5, and then suddenly, like Walmart Market, for example, when they first put it up at 11 years ago, there was plenty of parking. Now, good luck finding a spot at Walmart Market because the population increases and now you have less spots. And so little things like that seem innocuous. A parking lot, no requirement for parking lots, but you know what that means to a builder. Let's just put every piece of cement and put housing on it.
If we could, I guess where I would suggest taking this from here would be if, and I know, Susanna, I think you and Steve had said you would make sure there'd be a kind of a transition till the new folks got in and kind of the new group got kind of organized. I guess my suggestion would be if you could get with the lady that's the lobbyist.
Deborah, yeah.
Deborah, and see maybe at the February meeting.
I
for
forgot my
WUMA,
pen, yeah.
and excuse me, I don't have, I know January is gonna be in Weddington, I'm not sure where the February meeting's gonna be. And try to get that set up, that would give the group at least one session to get kind of organized.
Yeah.
And then, again, have her, if she can attend that, then that would give time for each of the towns, each of our municipalities, to get their list of questions together. What can you do for us? What's the benefit? Obviously, if you can kind of give her a thumbnail of what we've been discussing, so she's got a number if we're looking at a shared cost kind of thing.
Right.
And then see where it goes from there. Because obviously this would be something where, each of the member groups, each of the member towns, once everybody's had a chance to ask questions and we've got a better handle on the cost of it, then we can take that back to our individual folks, or each town can take a look at it and kind of vote it up or down. But I do think, and that's a good segue into our next subject here, if the short session is going to start in April,
Yeah.
that gives you 3 months after the holidays to kind of get things rolling.
Yeah.
So if,
Yeah, and before we go on to that, the only thing I'd comment on, because as I'm thinking this through, if 4 of the 6 WUMA representatives are on board with this, but the other 2 said, yeah, it's not in our budget, they're still going to get the benefit of
Right.
that thing. I think this has to be all in or none,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's fair that it's just on you or on, it's kind of everything else. I think these councils have to know, the upcoming councils, that if they're going to get represented, it's a little bit unfair being represented by a
Right.
lobbyist, which they're going to do the same work. Maybe they do specific work, which I can't imagine individually what they would do specifically for, but I'm sure
Right.
there's something out there.
Right.
But, I would really encourage all of the.
She attends our retreat. If we ask her to come to a work session, she'll do that. So, she's very available to us. I
Right.
mean, I have her number, I text her with a question, and so for us, she's very available. I just don't know what it would look like.
and that's a good
And
question
this-
that we would have to get answered for everybody.
Yeah,
Because
for
it would be
everyone.
great if at least once a year, and
Yeah.
again, this is all top of my head,
But,
that if she could come to if we did this, that at least once a year, she would come to Weddington and Wesley Chapel and give an in-person, hey,
right.
this is what I'm seeing.
I mean,
this
in the
is what I'm hearing."
meantime, I could always share whatever,
Sure.
whenever she gives us an update. So it's not monthly for us, it's just when when she hears of
Right.
something or something's happening, she gives us a heads up, and then
Okay.
we can, because I think that that's really going to be what's going to have to happen, that we're going to have to get the information before it's a done deal, and then put a call to action out everywhere, and just get people to flood phones and emails.
And the last thing I'll say on it is, to me, and especially, y'all have already got this lady doing work for y'all, but if we as a group for representing this part of the county had this available, to me, we would be able to be a lot more proactive than reactive. And again, as I said before, the other side has got their folks there too, and they way outnumber us already. So, but again, unless anybody's got anything else, we'll move on to item B.
I'm fine.
And just, SB 24 is a total reversal of 382. And so that's really what we need to be pushing for.
Okay.
It's 2 sentences, It's
Simply
just,
restores dam zoning authority.
yeah, that's it. There's nothing else in it. It's not
that's
a 100-page bill.
All right. Priorities for calendar year '26. Amanda, I'll let you kick us off. You got anything in mind? No? Okay. Rick?
No, and I think that the priority for at least the first quarter of '26 is this legislative, interaction, lobbyist individually.
And getting another meeting on the calendar like we had in May with our state reps.
I was gonna say, that was a well-attended meeting. It was in Waxhaw, so you probably had a little more. We were glad to see there were crazies in Waxhaw, like there are sometimes crazies in every
Listen.
town. But they showed up, but that was good, and they were asked questions, which I think were good questions that were.
I think it was a
I
productive
think it makes sense to
meeting.
get them on the agenda early,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was productive. I thought that it makes it real. Like, for us, David Willis and Todd Johnson, Dean Arp, they've been pretty receptive to, they always pick up the phone. I mean, I really only, for myself, had contact with Todd Johnson and David Willis on certain issues, but they pick up the phone and they call back. So I think it makes it real for them, how many people, because you can hear it, but if you're not, you don't see it, right?
Right.
And you're not in it, it hits differently. So I think that having them come to something like that and their willingness to come was good. 'Cause they showed up, and people weren't happy.
Well, I would say at the top of my list for suggestions is exactly what everybody's touched on. I think the meeting that we had there in May was probably one of the most productive ones that we've ever held as a group. And in fact, I think it should be almost a standing calendar event that once a year we invite, or the WUMA group invites the members of the Union County Legislative Delegation together to do just that, to stand up in front of everybody. Let's talk about what the current issues are, what kind of questions people have. And again, it was well received, and I think that should definitely be on there is getting another one of those meetings on the books before the short session starts. That's the thing. I know the last time, or at least when I was making phone calls with David and Todd, that, they were saying, oh, we got a vote coming up. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it. So if we can get it, if this group could get that organized, maybe in March before it starts in April, I think that would be a plus.
I mean, I think we could probably talk about it in January, January, February, and just start.
February, sure.
Have any of your towns entertained the doing not forced annexation, but volunteer annexation? Have you tried it, been successful in it? Because we have it out there open for people, and believe it or not, people are coming in. Sometimes a developer will come in and say, yeah, we want to be part of Marvin.
We're
We'll
full.
pay the tax. What's that?
We're full.
You're full? Well,
We have it open and we have waived fees for people.
Yeah.
right.
We now have rules about a subdivision, like so much of the subdivision has to annex in.
Oh,
Just to take.
and you get away with that as part of the,
If it's contiguous, you can.
okay, all right. Oh, well, we don't have much left to build. I mean, there's not much left here, but there are open pockets that get the representation without taxation. And it's, in my mind, I look at it, and one of the residents was from I think I've shared this story before, where I got the call before we had roundabouts. Where are those officers? It was a Waxhaw resident, and I kindly told him those officers are being paid by Marvin residents, not, but all of that gets everybody home quicker and tightening that up. And I think, I would say take a look, as we have, at how it would affect your budgets if we close those, what we call donut holes, and say, this is right in the heart of Weddington or whatever, and it should be a part of Marvin or a municipality going forward. I know the representatives don't want to touch it because it's political suicide for them, of course, but we're successful at getting volunteers to volunteer to come into Marvin. It's not a lot, but it's some, and especially in neighborhoods where we are owning roads. We go to the HOA and say, we can't stop at this house because they don't pay a tax, and then hop over. So we've been pretty successful in that. And then the only other thing, and this has been, and apparently they ran it up through the state Supreme Court, is impact fees. We are one of the few, people don't know this, but this is why our taxes go up every year. Our impact fees, there are none. So they allow them to build, and then the county sits back, oh, wow, we got all these new kids, we need a new school. Guess what? It goes on the existing taxpayer. And they try to convince you it is a cost that is too prohibitive for a developer.
It's not.
It's a pass-through. If he's gonna get charged it, it's gonna go to the end user buying that home. We're one of the few states in the United States that doesn't have an impact fee. I think that is criminal, and for them to come down there and build. In fact, I was on a hunting trip in Canada, happened to be some out-of-state developers. They couldn't believe we didn't have impact fees.
Well, that's because
They wanted to move here right away.
who's got lobbyists in, we just said it, who's got the lobbyists in Raleigh, and who's got the money in Raleigh? And it's the developers, and there's a lot of it, and they know the system, they know the loopholes.
The league does have quite a few lobbyists too, but they've also got 550 people they've got to represent. So even if they got 20 lobbyists, and they don't, I don't think, they're still spread pretty thin.
You know, but the talking point there is that it's illegal. It's illegal for a municipality to impose impact fees. If the state legislature comes down with a law then it's not illegal. So they have to pass a law there.
Right.
But, you know,
kinda like
if you
we
look
can't-
at our representatives and what they do for a living,
Right.
you'll see why that we don't have impact fees.
And they say that it's prohibited by the Constitution. People say that by the
Sure.
state, and it's not. That's twisting the reality, and as we mostly know, the state constitution simply says that municipalities can't do anything unless the legislature says they can.
Correct.
That's the fact. So it's not the Constitution
Right.
that prohibits
No,
impact fees. It's
it's-
the legislature flexing their muscle and saying, we tell you can't have it.
We tell you
And
you
a
can't.
perfect example of that is when I was asking about, we don't have updated laws on these electric bikes. They're going to become an issue, but
They're an
we
issue.
can't, as a municipality, impose anything because the state hasn't done anything. They've figured out golf carts, and I've identified that, so we do have an ordinance for golf carts. But when it comes to electric bikes, it's just unfortunately going to have to take an accident, something serious,
There was
where the
just-
state gets involved and says, okay,
There
we're
was
going
one
to
in our
pass this.
neighborhood.
They do appear to be.
It's-
pretty
it's
dangerous
coming.
the way
They're
they're
dangerous.
used right now. The kids are
Yeah.
not regulated.
But it's frustrating, so I don't know, the HOAs can't do it, the municipalities can't do anything, but I see them out there and I'm like, oh God, it's happening all over now, so.
Well, I guess, obviously having the legislature folks come and, the Union County delegation folks come and talk is gonna be, needs to be hopefully a priority for 26. Maybe, too, there's an awful lot of questions that still keep coming around about the roads. When are the roads gonna get started? Where's the funding? And, the short answer thus far has always, it continues to be that the money has been directed to Western North Carolina, all the DOT's money, but to me, that would be another, not that maybe anything could be done about it, but a subject to keep bringing up with the DOT folks next year is the road schedule, road construction schedule, and things like that. Anything else to pass on for the January meeting to the folks? Okay. All right, the last item, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to you, Joe, about the Marvin Ridge Athletic Boosters.
Yeah, so this is something that came up, I've been involved with the band and Band Booster Club, but this is actually the president of the Booster Club for all of Marvin Ridge, and this can happen in any one of your communities, because if you look here, one of the first things, when they built the school, it was to serve 1,000 students. They now have 2,000 students in basically what's for accommodate for 1,000. So this guy, the Booster Club, they're very involved, they're big fundraisers and stuff. They went to the county and said, guys, you need to help us with our training facility. People are stepping, it's a safety issue, it's a rotation, they're working out in the hallways, it's crazy. But they went to the county to said, but we don't want you to, this is not a taxpayer, we're gonna fund it fully through fundraising. And the county shot it down. And the reason they shot it down is said it wouldn't be fair to other schools. They do that a lot. When we had fundraisers build the track that was outside of the elementary school years ago, right when I first got elected, maybe right around there, a couple years later, that was all funded by local businesses that wanted to put a track in front of the elementary school. It was immediately taken by Union County, so that we had no control over it from a school standpoint. And they say it's because it's unfairness. Well, that said, how is it fair that Marvin Ridge has a full Mandarin immersion program and some other schools don't? That's not fair. This is by their own fault. 1,000, they build a school for 1,000 people. They allow 2,000 to go in there. The families are getting together saying, we need to correct this issue. I mean, again, I've been involved with the band for probably 10 years, pulling trailers and stuff. These kids practice on the hot pavement of the parking lot. They're laying down, because some of their routines are they're laying down, and it's baking in the summer. They don't have a field. They won't let them practice on the field that's out there, and there's another field involved. So this is something that's going to come to all of our communities, and if the county's over there saying, how does it affect them from a tax standpoint? It doesn't, and they say it's unfair. So we
Is
immediately
it the county
passed.
or the school board that's saying?
The county.
The county.
It's not the school
county.
board? Oh. I
Well-
thought it was the school board.
School board.
Well, I thought it went
Be
to,
the Board of
Might be the
Education.
school
wouldn't
board.
well, Board of Education shot that down, or the county?
I
it? I think
thought,
it'd be the Board of Education. I
I
don't know
thought
for sure, but.
I don't think it's the county commissioners. They don't get involved in policy with this. It's gotta be
Okay,
the
but
Board of Education.
then I misspoke. I'm
It's the
sorry about
County Board of
that. Yeah,
Education, so it still is
yeah,
UCPS.
right.
It's
they're
not
on
the
that.
commissioners, it's
The only
it's the
thing,
school board
you know,
members.
But
coming
how do we
from-
make that right? Because it's coming to a community, a school near you, I promise.
And I guess their argument would be that Marvin is going to have parents that can afford to do that, and then other schools might not. I mean, that's just coming
So
from, I
then
worked
why
at a
did they
Title
put
I
the,
school.
why did they put the Mandarin program in Marvin? That was the first Mandarin, full immersion Mandarin came to Marvin, and then what, the second one went to, I forget, it's close by here, I'm trying to think of the school. But there are Mandarin, not Mandarin pros, there's other language.
Can a student that doesn't live in Marvin get into the Mandarin
Nope.
program?
Nope, got to be a Marvin resident and have to do it. We did it, my child was the first kindergartenist when she started, so and it's not like you can replace kids, because
No.
people move, and then that class starts at 23, and then starts dwindling. It's not they can insert anyone in second
not
and third
supposed to,
grade.
but-
And then they have teachers every year. This is how it works since my daughter was in kindergarten. Then they went to first grade, they had to bring 2 more teachers because you needed a sub from China. And then the next year when they went to third grade, 2 more teachers came in and stuff. So it's this whole program that's, I mean, how is that fair? I mean, how can they justify that? Or build another school, because, you know, I might agree with you. We have, there's very generous people in this town that are willing to do that, but it's, but I also have seen fields that are turf fields and not, and those are way out in Union County, but they're nowhere near this, but turf is very expensive to put in, you know, the fake grass, and we have real grass. We've wanted a turf field for some time, but haven't been able to get it because they said it isn't fair. But, so I brought this up. We did a resolution to kind of support this because it fell on deaf ears. They wouldn't allow it, and we thought, well, if we can get other communities to kind of say, hey, might want to rethink this.
But who do you go to for that? Is it the finance person at the school district? Do you go to the superintendent?
Well, all they were saying is they had the space to do what they wanted to do. It was just the funding mechanism, which is a tax at the county level. So you would, there's 2 things. You can either fundraise and get the funds that way, or you can just increase taxes to create, well, they do that to schools all
But
the
don't
time.
you
They
have a
improve
booster
schools.
club?
That's who.
But that's my
who
point. I mean,
presented.
so what's the difference between that booster, like a booster club?
The booster
To
club-
go to, I don't know, Disney to play in the Disney parade, let's say, for argument's sake, and this? What is the difference?
I'm not
The amount of,
understanding.
I'm saying you're raising money anyway through the booster club, are you not?
I believe
For-
they are,
for
yes.
certain things,
Yes,
right?
yeah, for certain
So-
things.
Why not this? It's not like they're not allowing you to raise money at all, is what I'm saying.
No,
So
they're
that's
allowing
not
you to
per-
raise money, it's just what you can use it for, by improving a training facility that can accommodate, you have double what was originally that school was planned for, and now you're seeing the kids affected at the school, if they're laying on pavement to practice, and this is just banned, from a athletic standpoint, they have a number of athletes that need to train in a training facility, whether it's weightlifting or whatever it is they're doing. They're willing to do that, but they're being told no because it's not fair.
It just doesn't make sense. Because if you're raising money for one thing, what's the difference what you use it for? Call it, I don't know,
Well,
call it
I
whatever you
remember
want to
too,
call it.
it's like
Just-
you couldn't get smart boards back in the early days when we wanted to, parents were saying, hey, let's get the smart boards out. And they wouldn't allow us to do that because it's a fairness issue is what they call it. So we're just, as a council, we opposed what the school board was denying, I guess, and I don't know how you fix
Because the
it.
school board, the school board establishes policies, and the superintendent's office administers them. So the school board is I'm sure, the governing authority. It has some, but I don't know, because I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
what
not
the-
a parent, I don't have
Who
any.
knows what the loopholes are,
I don't know how. it
But yeah, I
works.
mean, I'm fine with
So
it.
would you,
And I can have the gentleman, the president of the school, he made it a point, he talked before all of us in front
No,
of
I'm
our
fine with it, I'm
meetings.
just curious.
so you would just like each of us to take this back to our respective,
Yeah, and just maybe
Okay.
talk about it, and then if you need a contact, I can get you his number. And in fact, I'll email it to you all if you want to reach out to him and get the skinny on what he faced at Marvin Ridge. And again, we've got high school, Weddington, Waxhaw, obviously.
And possibly whether or not we could get one of our boards to adopt the same resolution, or maybe my board might want to adopt a resolution saying
We
based-
support Marvin
based
in
on
there.
Marvin's needs, we support more site-based decision-making powers for the school, something like that. where
right.
Booster clubs are,
Yeah.
okay.
one way or the other, just whatever our boards would be interested in doing to support this concept. Okay.
Well, thank you for allowing me to present that sort of last
Is there any other discussion on the three items we've been going over? All right, well
Happy
then
Thanksgiving.
we're getting down to the short rows here. Delegate comments, finishing up. Ladies first, Amanda. What, not to sit on the end again.
Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. Joan, we'll miss you. Also a little bit jealous, but we'll miss you, and thank you for all you've done over the past several years.
You're welcome.
Rick?
All I can say is the same, and congratulations, I'll say, to these two gentlemen, because some of us aren't.
Oh, yes, thank you,
smart.
Joan. Forgot you.
And
did
thank you
that.
for having this, congratulations on having the sense to either retire or let yourselves move forward. I think some of us maybe hang on too long, but best wishes on having some free time in your lives, and thank you for, especially, I'll single out Jeff, just
Okay.
for somehow being an anchor on this board, because we come as we can and try to fit it in, and you've kind of been there to really help us keep things on track, so thank you. And thanks to Austin between Austin and
Appreciate
Karen, those are our
Yeah.
two,
Unsung heroes.
yeah, our two WUMA staffers, really, are Karen and Austin, so thank you
Send us
for
a
that, too.
postcard from all your fun vacations.
Yeah,
Definitely do that, definitely do that.
Get yours.
great, thanks. I'll be jealous from Waxhaw. Just happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for serving for so long, and we're a little jealous.
Yeah, happy holidays to everyone. We're looking forward to the holidays. My kids are all away at school, college, so they're coming back, so we'll spend some time with them. My wife and I promise we will be traveling a lot more, so we'll be enjoying that. But it's been an honor to serve with you guys. I mean, Rick, you remember, this thing started with mayors.
Way back. It
Way
started-
back in the
it actually
day.
started, I think, in Marvin. It may have started at Terry, what was her name?
Oh, Terry, I know who you're talking about. I'm forgetting her last name. She used to live in,
Terry Patton.
Patton, yes.
I think we met in Terry Patton's dining room or something, way back.
yeah, that was before me, because
That was
I'd never
pre-
been to her dining room.
It was
but-
pre-WUMA, it was just the sort of a unique
Right.
thing. And,
Yeah, it got crazy. I mean, it was in my backyard at one time with some Union County representatives.
And it
And
came-
Bjorn was there, so. Yeah.
And then Don Gardner resurrected it, and it became focused in Waxhaw. We'd end up at Black Chicken, which is now Cork and Ale.
Or
All the
the,
time. It was much more social.
what was the
very
catcher,
informal.
the one catcher, the restaurant in Waxhaw? It used to be it was a beer.
That was the
something.
brewery. That
It was a brewery.
Oh, Dream Chasers.
Dream Chasers, yeah. So
Middle
there were
James.
many we were solving the world's problems along with but it was great, because that was I think the impetus to get this group together, and I think then you started reaching out to council members at the time, and this just became a formal thing, so
This
it's
version
been,
of WUMA is the first time it was really formalized.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is a better structure.
yeah, yep.
It was hit or miss when it was more of a social.
And it is where we're not beating our heads. If we all have similar problems and stuff, kicking it around and sharing ideas, I think has just been invaluable. So I do appreciate all you guys have done for us as well. So it's just been great to serve with you.
And I'm on to alibi one thing here on the subject for next year. You need to get the county manager out
It's always
for a
good.
brief.
And he's always been really good.
Brian's always been very good
great
about
for this
that.
group, yeah.
And that's another update we need. So with that said, I'll just say this, folks. This has been a group effort from the beginning. I cannot say thank you enough, and I know Steve is not here, but if this is being recorded, and obviously Austin's taking the minutes, hopefully when he reads them in January, I'm thanking Steve as well. This has been a group effort from the get-go. And I think, you know, it's like with anything, there's some growing pains involved, but I think every year that goes by, this group is kind of refining things and figuring out the kind of the direction we need to go in. It has been a privilege to be up here with y'all because there's many meetings we have where we're the only ones in the room. But I have seen and heard the trials and the tribulations that all of us as the individual municipalities go through. And to what Joe just said, getting together like this and sharing that information to make sure that we're not reinventing the wheel or making the same mistake twice. And to me, that's the invaluable thing that we're able to do as groups. And lastly, I think we have shown, because of the feedback that we get from the county and from the legislative folks, that with this group here, they are paying a little bit more attention. And that, I think you said a little earlier, Susanna, there's strength in numbers and speaking as one voice. And I think that meeting in May that we had showed that when they decided, yes, we will show up to your meeting to discuss these things. So again, I thank all of you. I especially thank Susanna, you and Steve for kind of helping steer the boat until January when things can kind of get a little more reorganized. And the next meeting is scheduled for January the 22nd in Weddington at 4 o'clock. So, and I did already give Karen a heads up about that, Austin, so she's aware of that.
So I assume in December 9th, you'll go through who will be representatives for WUMA and all that, and
Yeah.
assign that, so, okay.
But
Assuming I'm still the rep.
But I do wish y'all good luck and continued success in this. So unless anybody's got any other things, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Call your next case.
January 22nd.
January the 22nd. That is baffling to me that a booster
We couldn't
club
believe it. Couldn't believe it.
can raise
We-
the money and they
yes,
won't let you
they-
build it,
they
or you
won't let
build
you-
it and then they took it away from you.
Yeah, that we did, that was the first time we learned that. And then the second time was, wow, this isn't gonna cost the taxpayers any money. And all we're doing is, we're fixing the mistake that you made by allowing